I'll be there. Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Number 9 Talk with my guest, Kris from Gallagher Shots. You all right, matey? Just to bring up your picture.
I mate, it's got a Christmas theme to that one as well. December, we're living the dream, Christmas. So that one and the All Smile Faces podcast had a little bit of a makeover.
Yeah, and I also like this one as well. All the smiling faces.
Oh mate, like I'm biased, but they're beautiful.
Mine just got a Christmas hat on it, you see. So yeah, we'll talk about the season so far, and what we would expected from this season so far, and what we've actually taken. We've got, what is it, 11, 12 points, something like
that? I would probably say we're in the position where we'd probably expect to finish, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And you look at, from the start, we would have bitten anyone's hand off for the start we've had. But there is a lot of improvement on the team and improvement on the management as well. But we'll come to that in a bit.
Yeah. It's a difficult subject in regards to management and team wise. But yeah, if there's any questions get sent in, but then we'll take it from there, mate.
Yeah. Obviously, Mr. Bruce, which I will bring up. My lovely daughter did this for me with the laughy faces in the background. I just thought that was brilliant. Steve Bruce.
Where do I start, mate?
You can either love him or hate him, can't you? You can either love him or hate him.
I'm not sure, mate. I think there's a bit of an even ground in it. And I think I would probably sit in that even ground where I like him as a person. He seems like a decent bloke. We've said it from the very start, and we mentioned this on the podcast that any single manager that gets a job at Newcastle United, we'll always give them the chance. If they start getting results, then of course we want them to stay here forever. If they're picking wins up, they can carry on. And we always said that Bruce coming in, of course, he's nobody's first choice. He wasn't even the club's first choice, let's be honest. He is probably the fourth choice of Steve's, never mind the first choice manager. And he came in and we said, right, okay, let's give him the time of day. It was up and down at the start of the season, of course it was, but had a horrendous results against Norwich, Leicester, but then we had a few decent results and we started climbing the table. And we said, maybe we should give him a little bit more time, see what happens. But recently, I think we're at the point now where we can clearly see that players aren't performing for Bruce. Players don't want to give it all, which speaks a lot, not just for the manager, but for the players as well. Because we always say they're playing for this mate. They're playing for what's on the front of the shirt, never mind the back of the shirt. But Bruce he's lost that dressing room, and there's a lot of key players in there which don't seem to be performing to the best of ability, and I think most people agree with that. But Bruce, yes, he's a decent bloke. He's not a decent manager. And no matter what anybody says, he is not a decent manager. And we can see over the stats over the years, the Premier League clubs which he's managed, he is not a Premier League manager. So he's not the man for this club. Of course he's not.
Yeah, no. I mean, you said it was no one's first choice. But he was parachuted in late, by the club, because we all love Rafa, but he did leave it very late to say, I'm off. And it's time that could have been taken to sort things out. But Rafa, we would have loved him to stay, but I do have that gripe myself to say he did leave it late to leave, and to say, I can't work with this.
The thing with Rafa, I think if you go all the way back to the Leicester, I'm sure it was Leicester game. I think it was a nighttime game, and he came out after the game and he was speaking to, I want to say, Carragher and somebody else on Sky, and he slated the owners. He literally said, like, there's no ambition at this club. And I think Rafa was putting the warning signals out from day one that if, as a club, we weren't going to fulfill what he wanted, that he'd be off. And leading into the summer, Rafa, that there was rumours that he may go to China, he may not sign that new contract. And as a fan base, can we blame him? We'll flash forward to right now, we'll jump right forward to where we are now. We've got Steve Bruce. And Steve Bruce never once came out and said there's any future for the club in regards to progression-wise, apart from cups, Premier League-wise, which is, of course, we all want a cup win. Of course we do. But at the end of the day, we always look at where we finish in the Premier League, how high we finish up. And that's what Rafa wanted. Rafa wanted us challenging for Europe. He wanted us to progress in the cup games. And I think Rafa, of course, maybe he did leave it a little bit too late in regards to leaving the club, but his contract was running out. The club knew that. So that's on the club's doorstep. That's on Rafa's doorstep. Surely there should have been people lining up to take that job. And rumour has it that there was a lot of people that turned that job down to be Newcastle United manager because of that man upstairs. And hence why we ended up with Steve Bruce.
Yeah. Just mentioning Rafa there. A lot of Derby fans think he's coming to Derby. I can't see it myself. I think he's already come out and said he's not interested. So.
Oh, we're talking about Ashley or Bruce? Or Rafa?
No, but Rafa, yeah.
Bollocks. Not happening.
But as I live in Derby, these are a couple of my mates that are coming in now and saying, Rafa's come to Derby. Is he? Right, yeah.
Bollocks. Not happening.
My wife's in evening. So Derby getting John Terry apparently, so whatever. Yeah, I think they're on about Lee Johnson at the minute. But anyway, we digress. Yeah, so to move on from there, we've had a steady start, but the big news over the weekend was the spate of coronavirus that is coming on the club. A problem, yes. Maybe should have been curbed earlier. Possibly, I've heard reports and rumours that Ashley had missed out some testing just to save some cash. I don't believe that's correct.
Nah, mate, don't believe any of that sort of stuff. The reason we've got to remember, we are in a current pandemic. Mike Ashley is not to blame for any player getting COVID-19. The reason our players are getting COVID-19 was because we're playing pointless international football games. We're playing international friendlies, mate. We've got 3, 4, 5 members of our team jetting out off all over the globe to play international football. God knows how many people they're coming into contact with. As a football club, you've got a bubble. So the Premier League clubs have got a bubble and they stick within that. Then they jet off all over the world to play international football for no point whatsoever. Absolutely 0 point. And the reason that the club is currently stricken by COVID-19 and everybody's got it is probably because of the likes of Fabian Schär, Emil Kraft, those Almiron being at national football. There's God knows how many people that have been away. There's no reason whatsoever that we should be playing friendly international football during a global pandemic. The only reason why we're doing that is because of money. That's why our club is absolutely riddled with it at the minute, and that's it. That's the only reason. You've got to remember, we were the first club where Steve Bruce came out and said, during the training ground, the players aren't shaking hands. Nobody's coming in contact with each other, apart from on the field when it's tackles and stuff like that. We were the first Premier League club to do that. The reason for that is personally in national football.
But we don't know. They've kept the names quiet.
We know who it is, mate. We know who it is. It doesn't take a genius to find out who it is. Well, look, last week where Steve Bruce was said there was maybe, did he say 2 or 3 or 3 or 4? He didn't even know himself. All that you have to do is look at the training ground photos from the day previous and see which players were in training. We did that. We knew exactly which players were in training. Yeah. As a club, if they didn't want that to leak, which players were who possibly had COVID-19 or coronavirus, they shouldn't have released those photos from the training ground because we knew which players weren't there. I'm not going to say them, but you can easily go back and look. We knew who wasn't
there. Yeah. Just to come on to bit of an extra thing. Callum Wilson. What a start fella has had. You know, we all knew he was a quality player, but you know, on a team that's not built on attacking, the start he's had, could he have done even better if we were more of an attacking team?
He's a great player, absolutely fantastic player, and I think what Newcastle United struggle as that lone striker, and Wilson has been that lone striker for some time, where we've had the games where an outsider would probably look at it and think, oh, Callum Wilson hasn't scored. But the reason for that is because we're playing up top and the rest of the 10 players are setting our own off. Wilson, he's a fantastic player. He could probably walk in about, I'll probably say about 17 teams in the Premier League. He's a fantastic player, and I think what I would spend 20 million for him, it's an absolute steal. It's an absolute steal. He's a great player. He offers a lot to the team, something which would be missing since, I would probably say, Loic Remy. That's who he reminds me of, Loic Remy. So around about that era where he had the likes of Demba Cisse, Loic Remy, that's all the last like 3-4 years, but where they were intermittent. He's a decent player. I'm excited to see what the future holds for Wilson in regards of what happens on Tyneside. He's great. I want him to stay here for the rest of his career because we've got a £40 million striker who is struggling at best, I would say. I don't want to say him too much because he does try. I don't want to be one of those fans that says he's shit because he's not. Because Julian is definitely not. He's not a bad player. I think maybe just the Premier League isn't probably the league that he should be playing in, if I'm being honest. But Wilson-wise, he's great, absolutely fantastic player, and we are very lucky to have him wearing those black and white stripes.
Yeah. What we got here? There we go. Not football related, but England one-day international had to be cancelled because of COVID-19 outbreak. Within the staff at the hotel, they were due to stay at. I'm guessing there's more. With the Lewis Hampton and the club, do you think the bubble system isn't really working? Kris, go ahead.
I think
the bubble system,
I think the bubble system is working in the Premier League. I think as soon as you start playing those, like international football, you go to God knows how many hotels and you're interacting with 10 times more people. As soon as you leave your base, so let's say Newcastle and Benton and Dorsley Park is your base. As soon as you leave that, other than obviously going home, seeing family and stuff like that, you're multiplying that by God knows how many. So in national football, I'm saying I can't understand why international football is going on, but I can because it's all money orientated. It's the same with the Premier League. That's why the Premier League continued. And I think, of course, Newcastle United are the first ones to have a game postponed because of this in the Premier League. We won't be the last. Of course we won't. Oh, here he is.
Had to bring that one up, yeah. We talk about the Premier League and whatever else, but just to push on from Wilson, like I said, I mean, even you said £20 million is a bloody snip for what you would pay for the amount of goals he scored already. And then you look at Joe Linton, 40 million, and has not quite hit the heights. But we all know Joe Linton is not a striker. And could he have Joe Linton have done better with a better manager to stick an arm around and to actually coach him, or do you think he's a lost cause?
No, because I think this is where Bruce comes into his own. I think Bruce is probably that manager that will put his arm around a player to say, keep cracking on, keep cracking on. I think personally, like I've had the pleasure of meeting Rafa. I've been at training ground a couple of times to see what happens on the training ground underneath Rafa Benitez. And Rafa is ruthless, absolutely ruthless, mate. Like, he's not the manager to put an arm around you and say, oh, well done, but you should have done this. Rafa is a person that turns around and says, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you should do this better. I think under Bruce, Joe Linton has probably managed well, because if you go, I'm going way back, but if you go back under the likes of Keegan and Terry Mack, rumour was that Terry Mack was that coach that took the players aside and said, oh, forget what Keegan said. You should be doing this, you should be doing that, blah, 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 blah. But I think Bruce is probably the perfect manager for Joe Linton. It's not showing up on the pitch, which worries a little bit. But all around the shoulder wise, Bruce is probably the best man for Joe Linton, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, against Crystal Palace, I did see a budding partnership possibly from Wilson and Joe Linton. They both seem to work pretty well together. You know, they seem to know where each other was and where to put the ball. So, you know, it's what would your thoughts on that?
Between Wilson and Joe Linton? In the last 10, 15 minutes, they looked fantastic. They looked like Shearer and Bellamy at one point. Mm-hmm. They looked brilliant. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the 2 goals which they scored, it came from those 2 working together. And I said, because we did a live stream before that game, that the All Smiling Faces lads done a live stream. And I said before even kick off, I went, we've seen Joe Linton and Wilson play together, obviously substitution-wise, and they've worked well together. And I went, I'm hoping to see that today. It took 80 minutes to see that, but those 2 goals, they look fantastic. They look amazing together. Joe Linton's hugging the ball over his head, back heels, left. It looked great. It did look great. I can't lie. Will it continue? Probably not. Of course it won't. But I appreciated what I saw. That's all I did appreciate that between the 2 strikers. And going forward, I would love to see both those on the pitch at the same time. Because if you're playing that lone striker, they look worse. Wilson will look worse as a player. Joe Linton will look worse as a player. Playing them together, they look 10 times better.
Yeah, it was a sort of passage of play that, you know, made you fall in love with football again. You know, the Wilson to Joe Linton, the Joe Linton to Wilson. It was a passage of play that, you know, made you go, yes, I love being a Newcastle fan, you know. And that's the way I felt at that point. The comment here, good defender, might be available on loan, is Tomori from, I'm guessing, from Chelsea, I think. Was on loan at Derby. So. But yeah, he looks a good young prospect. Is he a good defender?
I don't think we need any more defenders. I really don't. We've got 4 defenders there? Well, 4 centre backs that we've got there. We've got Lascelles, we've got Kieran Clark, we've got Fernandez. Who else is it? Fabian Schär, that's a 4th. Yeah. And we don't need another centre back. We definitely don't, because each one of those centre backs offers something different. And I feel as if I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here, but Lascelles is injured at the minute, and a lot of fans will come out now and say, "Oh, we always perform better when Lascelles is out of the team." It's bullshit. We don't. When Lascelles is out of the team, the back line is like Connect 4, mate. It's like it's all out of the shop, like all over the shop. When Lascelles is missing out of that team, there doesn't seem to be any structure between that back four. And I may come back to bite my own words here, like, and eat my own words, but I'm not Lascelles' biggest fan. Of course, I'm not, 100% not. But I think Lascelles brings some sort of leadership, he steadies a ship, should I say it? And of course, he was out of the game that we won. So of course he was. Kieran Clark is the man who was the unsung hero in this squad. Last season, or the season before he came in, he scored a few. He was top goal scorer in the first couple of months. I'm sure he was. But he got injured. Lascelles came in, back in, and we are blessed with centre backs. We don't need that. We do not need that centre back right now. 100% we don't.
Well, I think at Derby he played for left back, but it's we are. I mean, left back has never been really that much of a problem, unless Dummett has been out injured. Because Dummett, I do see Dummett. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but he's Mr. Dependable. He works his socks off. But the only reason why I think he gets his criticism because he doesn't come forward enough, or he doesn't overlap.
I agree.
With the left wing,
I agree with you, mate. I agree. So
what? Rather,
so what Paul Dummett does?
Do what he's good at.
Paul Dummett gets to the halfway line. He doesn't know what to do. But in the current situation in Premier League, in football in general, there's no such thing as a left back anymore. There's no such thing as a right back. You need to be a left wing back, you need to be a right wing back, you need to push up the field. And we saw the difference when Jethro Williams came in, and the partnership that him and Saint blossomed between each other. I know it was only a handful of games before Jethro got injured, but you saw what Jethro could bring to the squad, taking the ball, advancing past that halfway line. I love Paul Dummett, of course I do. But Paul Dummett is personally, he's known for whacking wingers in the East Stand. He's known for his defensive abilities, but in the current age, you need to be able to push up that field. You have to, and that's why obviously we brought in the Lewis. Is it Lewis? Colin Lewis? No, that's a striker. Was it Lewis? Hang on. I was left back. Jamal Lewis. So we're on Jamal Lewis at left back, and obviously we had Jethro before him. Those are the sort of left backs that you need. The left wing backs that you need. Someone that's going to put the head up and run a link with that winger on the left hand side. Dummett, unfortunately, he's a what's the best word? He's a versatile player who we could use in our squad if needed.
Yeah.
He's never ever going to be in that starting 11 anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay, we can look at the other side. We've covered the centre backs. Right backs, we've got Kraft, who hasn't really had the best of starts or the best of games.
And he brought COVID to the full team.
Yeah, Yedlin, and we've also got the Spaniard, Mr. Manquillo. So it's I can see Manquillo as being that player who can overlap. I mean, my philosophy from football, you always like to see your left back or right back overlap on your forwards. It always gives you a better style of play. So you've got Jamal Lewis, who does come forward on the left, and you've got Manquillo that comes forward on the right. But can either of them really? I've looked at Manquillo. He does do well in his defensive duties, but not great. And I think you can say the same about Yedlin. So is right back a problem?
It's difficult one, mate, because I used to dislike Manquillo. I really did. Mm-hmm. Then under the last season at Rafa, he started playing really, really well. And Right back, it probably is a problem if you're thinking about it. And we've just spoke about the left wing back role. And you probably think if you're looking at that right wing back role, you'd look no further than Yedlin because he's got the pace. And we've seen it in games where he can drive forward. Of course he can. He's got the pace. He's faster than the flash, that bastard. But he's there, and he'll put that ball in. Look at the goal that he scored. I can't remember who he scored against. He scored a diving header against some team. And what all in St. James's Park, and everyone, it was just as a VR got introduced in the Premier League, and we're all sat in the ground and he's offside. Has to be offside. But he wasn't, because he was that fast. He wasn't offside. He's about 20 yards on the side, man. He's in his own half when he scored that goal. And then I don't know. I think we've seen it over the last 5 games that Murphy started playing that right wing back role. And Murphy came in, and we would probably say Murphy's a winger. But he performed well. Then when things changed and he started playing on right wing, he looked shit. I don't want to be harsh on the lad, but he did. He looked poorer than what he did at right wing back. So if you look on the left hand side and say we've got to attack, like I said on Lewis on the likes of Yellen on the right hand side, you have to push forward. So there's a comment there that's been sent in. Putting Murphy at right wing back is probably the best decision that we can make right now.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant shout. Carl Thompson, right back, we've been dreadful for years, to be honest. Mankeo's been average at best, but the standard we've had since Debussy or Janmaat. Janmaat was a good player, and so was Debussy, but they never took it that they were there for the shirt. You know, they're always there for what they're going to make, and you know the bounce off. You know the where they can go after. You know. That's the way I always felt about them too, yeah.
I think right back wise, always been in the same position where it's more defensive roles, apart from probably Yedlin. And Yedlin got called out a lot because of his defensive position wise. So I think, it's catch-22, to be completely honest with you. Of course, we can crave that attacking right back to push forward, but when we concede a goal or a cross comes in from the right-hand side, we can't then go on and criticise the likes of Yedlin for not being in that defensive position, because as a fan, we want that right wing-back pushing up. So when he's not the defender, it's catch-22. I honestly think, if people say the likes of a striker and goalkeeper is the worst position, it's not. This new position as a right wing-back, left wing-back, is the worst position, because we're expecting those to be putting the ball in the box, but we're also expecting them to vend the crosses coming into the box. They have to be everywhere on the pitch. So I think it's a very, very difficult position to fill.
Yeah. St. Maximin, the Max God. So, you know, is he injured? Has he got COVID? Has he just given it a go? Do we know?
As I'm talking, I'm not on it yet, but because you mentioned Staines, because you mentioned them.
Oh, the Gucci headband!
Hang on.
Hey! First one. Brilliant. Brilliant.
We're wearing Gucci because we're Gucci.
Brilliant. There's a guy off what do you call it? The Geordies down south, and I always think he's got the sprouting hair. So I says you need the Gucci headband, and every week he's on, I keep saying to him, "You need the headband, man." And you've done it. Well done.
Anything you want is on the shelf behind us. I'll tell you that now. Anything. Look. Do you want anything? Name a player. See if we can find them.
Go on.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. We don't have him.
Johan Kabay.
Oh my God. I've actually got a signed photo of Johan Gabai, like about 20 steps in front of us. But I'm refusing him to take him out of the post-it note. He's gone. We're not getting Johan Gabai over there. But I swear to God, there's a signed photo over there. But Newcastle fans, it's split with Gabai. Half of them hate them. Half of them love him because head turned. Johan Gabai. This shirt.
Unfortunately, you know, one of my favourite players was Czech Teote, and bless his soul, passed away not long after leaving us. So.
I've got a story. Well, I'll cheer you up with a Teote story. So, I used to be a delivery driver from a company called CityLink. CityLink went bust on Christmas Eve 2015, I want to say. So I was sat in a pub. I got an email from the union saying, "Oh, by the way, you don't have a job after Christmas, right?" Okay, but as I worked for CityLink, I delivered in Jesmond. A lot of Newcastle United players live in Jesmond. I used to see Danny Simpson quite a lot. Danny Simpson, great lad, you know. He comes across, a lot of fans hate Danny Simpson, he's arrogant, but every time I met Danny Simpson, great. And there was one day before, I'm pretty sure it was the game before we beat Sunderland 5-1, probably about 2 weeks before. If I remember right, we played Bolton between those games.
Oh, yeah.
And I bumped into Teote in Jesmond, and I was just talking about games, talking about matches and stuff. I started talking about the derby. He went, "Don't worry about the derby. We've got another game before that." I was like, no. I was like, forget that game. Like, focus on the derby. Lose that game, focus on the derby. And my van was, so the van in which I was delivering parcels, it was yellow and green. And obviously, I was talking to Teote. I was like, what can I get him to sign? Like, I've got nothing yet to make him sign. So I had a marker pen. I've always got a Sharpie, I'll tell you that. No matter where I am, I always have a Sharpie. I don't know why, but I've always got a Sharpie. And mate, I've got about 3 in that direction, I'll tell you that now. I've always got a Sharpie. And I said, I was like, Teote, will you sign me van? And he went, what? I was like, we just signed me door. So there's a yellow bit on my door, on my driver's door. He signed it, checked Teote. Obviously, a couple of weeks later, we went and beat Sunderland 5-1, absolutely battered them. And so going back, if anyone remembers, anyone that's watching that, Shola Amiobi done an episode of MTV Cribs.
Yes.
So the house which Teote lived in was Shola's house. So when Shola moved out of the house, it must have been owned by the club. Teote moved into it. So if you ever want to know where Czech Teote lived, Google Shola Amiobi Cribs. That's where he lived, that house. And he was a great bloke, absolutely fantastic bloke. And it's a shame that he passed away so young. Of course it is.
He gave us many memories.
He did.
You know, the goal against Arsenal as well.
Mate, I'm still furious about that goal against Man City that got chalked off.
Yeah. That's
all I go back to. It's all I go back to. And Joe Hart, like, kicking off the linesman. It was a goal. Johan Gudrun was nowhere near you. It was a goal. And that goal against City was better than the one against Arsenal. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah. Brilliant. It was top notch. Right. Don't want to go into this, Mr. We come back to this guy, Richard Masters. All right. We've got Mr. Nick DeMarco. Oh, I think I've got a picture of him as well. Looking.
Do you want to go and get some bread?
He's Parker. No, got him in his Parker.
Mate, if you want some bread, I've got some buns. I've got a loaf of bread. If we're on the bread chat, we'll get some bread.
That's the one. So yeah, we've got the Nick DeMarco and what did Shine a Fade or something like that? Is the other lass that's with Nick DeMarco?
She is the legal one that is human rights. I think she focused on human rights, mate. So for Mike Ashley to bring in DeMarco and the lady that you just mentioned there, that those are big hitters. No matter which way you look at that, they are big hitters and they're costing a lot of money. At the end of the day, we'll have to remember that Mike Ashley has just made £70 million off the takeover not going through. £17 million he's made for doing fuck all. I'm allowed to swear.
No, it's this disgusting. As well as this picture, you know, that's just. It's not pornography, is it? So, you know, it's.
Would you shag his belly button?
But you know, it is, and you've also got the NCSL. Is that what they call themselves? With their legal battle with. It's the NCSL, isn't it? The ones with the battle with the.
Is that the fans that are taking legal proceedings? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to come to a grey area, mate. I think as a fan of the club, as a human being, I'd rather this goes to the likes of professionals. In this one, fans, of course, fans have a concern, they have an opinion, but I think some of the things which have been leaked over the last month have been very misleading. I think we need to take everything with a pinch of salt and see what comes of it. We can't jump on something which a Twitter account says. We can't. I think we need to take a step back. We've all been burnt in this situation, ourselves included, from Gallagher shots. The decision comes to the Premier League at the end of the day. There's no way that any court proceedings are going to become within 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's not. It doesn't happen that easy. It doesn't. We, as a fan base right now, you just sit back and watch the games. That's all we can do. Anything which is happening behind the scenes in regards to court proceedings, legal procedures, we're not involved in. We cast that on one side, and of course, everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet. Of course we are. But don't fall in the likes of the clickbait sort of stuff. And we've all done it. Of course we have. I've done it. You've probably done it. You don't do it. You just see what happens. You see what happens. We watch the football on the pitch as a YouTube channel, as a podcast, as a fan base like yourself. We sit and we comment on what happens on the pitch. We're not the people to comment on what happens outside the pitch. We are not qualified to say what is going on behind the scenes. People that claim that aren't, they're not, and it's, I don't know. I feel as if I'm on the brink of saying too much, but
yeah, it's a tough
as
one.
as a fan base, simmer it down. We do what we do best: support the team, see what happens behind the scenes, and fuck that bastard that you put on the screen right now.
I had to bring it up because it brings me on to the next. Obviously the Premier League and the government have both said government are not involved, and the government have said we're not involved in it either. But obviously there have been with leaked letters and leaked things towards certain people. There has been a certain sect of MPs who have confirmed this.
Yeah. So, nobody wants this takeover to go through. Of course they don't, apart from Newcastle United base fans. Of course, everybody knows it crack. Like everybody knows what's happening. Nobody wants this to go through. The Premier League don't want this to go through. The Premier League got the top six. The top six have been, God knows, the same teams for X amount of years. Newcastle United being that sleeping giant, which we all know, everybody, not just ourselves, everybody else knows that Newcastle United is a sleeping giant. we have gone through so much shit, right? And so much shit. We had an owner who named our ground the Sports Direct Arena at one point. He named our ground that whatever you wanted it to be at St. James's Park at one point. Mm-hmm. He's tried to rename the stadium twice. It took a loan shark in Wonga to rename the stadium back to St. James's Park. A loan shark. Somebody that's charging 500 million% on interest. A loan shark. It took a loan shark to bring St. James's Park back. That's right. Mike Ashley didn't do that. We have to remember that this club is hated. Newcastle United is hated by a lot of people. And we have dropped a hell of a lot in the last 20 years. We are now a mid-table Premier League team at best. And that is down to one person. It's down to one bloke. He had the opportunity in the last 3 years where we had a manager in Rafa Benitez who saw a future. Of course he saw a future. And I mentioned this earlier on where I met Rafa. We got invited to the training ground and we met Rafa. We had a discussion after training on the training pitch. Then obviously the training ground was behind her. The pitch was in front of her. And the building was behind her. And Rafa said, "Tell me the reason why players won't come to this team or this club." And I went, "League position, blah, 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 blah." He went, "No." He went, "Look behind you. Look behind her." And there was a building there, which had doors which were falling off. There was a door which had a crest, a Newcastle crest. Half of it was missing, like gone. He went, "That's the reason why their wives come up here and the players move to a club because the wives tell them to move to a club." And Newcastle United, it's not the perfect destination for the footballers' wives. Of course it's not. But we're only 2.5 hours, 3 hours from London on a train. And he went, "That's a reason." He looked at that training ground and went, "That's the reason why we cannot offer these players what other teams are offering. We can offer those the highest wages, but we can not offer them the training facilities." And it's a shame because it wouldn't cost a lot of money to upgrade those, and we've had those same things for the last decade.
Yeah, it's been a long time we've had them training facilities. I mean, if you go back to the time when Keegan was there, he says things look a lot better if we just give it like a paint, And I think they've thought that with this training facility.
Under Keegan, mate, we were training Durham. We're actually training Durham, because obviously there was a massive upgrade, and I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but people watching, I'm pretty sure we're trained in Durham University on the pitches. And as a kid, I was a young one at the time, and I actually went because it was an open training ground. You could go and watch them train, and I watched the players train. And a ball came out of me, and I dribbled the ball back to Kevin Keegan. I just looked on the ropes, and I would probably say like 7, 8 at the time. I think training ground wise is we should be ashamed as ourselves as a football club to offer that to players, because it's horrendous. I'm not sure if you've been, but it's appalling, absolutely appalling. I say non-league teams are offering better facilities than what we are. It's horrendous.
Yeah, it is terrible. We'll come on to back onto this fella. He wants out. He wants his money. Good luck to him if he gets it. But we've become a fan base who are very behind Mike Ashley now, and it's scary.
We're not. We will never ever be a fan base that is behind Mike Ashley ever. I'll tell you that now. We are a fan base that if Mike Ashley is trying to sell the club, we're on board because we hate that bloke. We are never behind Mike Ashley. Never, ever, unless we're trying to give him a kick up the arse to sell the club. And that's it. We don't support Mike Ashley, but don't. He's a horrendous man.
On that first picture there, sticking the V's up, that said it all, didn't it? And yeah, he doesn't care about
that photo of sticking the V's up was after the squad Italian that they went for. They went for pizza in Ponteland. He's not a nice man. He's not. I've known people that have met him in the streets and said, "Oh, he's a decent lad. Cause he's a decent bloke." He might be. He might be a decent bloke as a mate, as an owner of a football club, our football club. He is not a decent bloke.
Yeah.
He's just pocketed 70 million. That's why we're going to court. He's pocketed that money. 17 million quid. 17 million. Mental.
Yeah. But he could pocket it all over again in a couple of years' time, couldn't he?
Mate, in a couple of years, that's the problem. In a year's time, he might have 300 in his pocket.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we all keep our fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and then hopefully we're rid of this guy as well, because he has been a jewel.
Fuck him.
Yeah, he needs to be gone. So on the back of that, what managers could we look at? Post or pre? Ashley?
It's a hard one, mate. Right now, I think every single fan probably look at the likes of Eddie Howe. If you look at the structure of our club, to see the sort of manager that we'll bring in, Eddie Howe. Our work doesn't have a club, so we probably would go for Eddie Howe. Right now, I'd snap your hand off. If you said Bruce is out the door, Eddie Howe is coming in. But you've got to remember, if you sack Bruce, you're paying him money. Ashley isn't sacking a manager right now. Of course he's not. No. We went on a what's his face, McLaren, for God knows how long, and we got relegated in the end. We got relegated, and Rafa Benitez was Leicester. I want to say away Leicester. And I'm pretty sure they scored the winning goal, offside goal, overhead kick. I'm pretty sure it was an overhead kick. But like right now, Eddie Howe, 100%. But our owner is not going to sack a manager who's not in the relegation zone, and right now we are not. Steve Bruce has exceeded Mike Ashley's expectations by not being in the relegation zone.
You could also say, while all this takeover talk is going on and legal battles, he's not going to let go of him, is he? Unfortunately,
he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere, mate. And I think we all know that.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be a problem. Could Rafa come back? I think there has been moved of him coming back if there is a takeover. So
Rafa. The only reason Rafa will come back is if there's a takeover, and if there is a takeover, I will probably say a 99.9% of Newcastle fans will welcome Rafa back. Of course we would. I love Rafa. I absolutely adore the bloke. And as a podcast, we've had a lot of criticism because we give Steve Bruce credit when it's deserved. So if we pick points up, we give him that credit. And people revert back to Rafa, saying, Rafa won this for the club, this for the club. But if a takeover goes through, if it went through in the next 2 minutes, right now, what I would do is sack Bruce, bring Rafa in. Without a shadow of doubt, Rafa's got a connection to this club. And
he fell in love with the club, didn't
he? He did. He saw a connection similar to the connection he saw against Liverpool, and that he had against Liverpool. And do you know what it is? There's some weird rivalry between Newcastle United fans and Liverpool fans, and I don't know why. Because as a fan base, I'd probably say we're probably pretty even. Because we absolutely adore our clubs, adore them, and Liverpool do the same, and Newcastle United, we've got that mutual connection with Rafa, with Do, and if somebody said to me tomorrow, Kris, do you want Rafa come back to this club? I'll be like, do it right now, bring him back from China. And I have to be honest, obviously Rafa went to China. Was there any other reason than money? No. That's the reason Rafa went to China, because of money. But second from that is because Mike Ashley wasn't offering what Rafa wanted. If Mike Ashley said, Rafa, I'm going to do this, this, and this for you. I'm going to give you this player. I'm going to give you that player. I'm going to give you that player. He would have stayed at Newcastle United, but he wasn't getting that from the ownership, from the owner of the club. And do you blame him for going to China and make God knows how much money? Of course not. Of course you don't. Because right now, the door is still open to Rafa Benitez.
And anyone would do the same, wouldn't they? I mean, in their own jobs, you're not going to go, oh, I'm going to stay, in my regular job rather than take something that's going to pay me more. Of course that you're not. And that's the way of work. And a lot of these, they are technically self-employed, so you are going to follow the money, aren't you, all the time?
Of course you are, mate. Like you've got to remember, Rafa is probably like obviously at the end of his career-wise, and he probably looked at Newcastle and thought maybe I could like finish my career here. And Mike actually wasn't given what he wanted in that third season, and that offer comes from China. If you're making a lot of money from China, you go. Of course you go. Like, of course you do. And I think Rafa probably left the book open, thinking that maybe a chance where I can't come back. That's how you probably kept fans on board. He's a great bloke. He's an absolute fantastic bloke, and I don't think any Newcastle United fan would probably turn around and say, Rafa, we don't want you back. I think right now, if you put a poll out or some sort of debate out for Newcastle United fans, all of it, across the globe, who would you rather have, Steve Bruce or Rafa Benitez? You know which way it's going to go, and not that way.
Anyway, mate, I'm going to cut it off there. Thanks for coming on. You've been an absolute delight today. Just going to give a shout out there to your channel.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, and where can you find us?
So Gallagher Shots is, you can find us everywhere. So we've got a Twitter account, Facebook account, Instagram account, and predominantly on YouTube. So if anybody wants to follow the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel, you can do so. And we are everywhere. Gallagher Shots YouTube, we just started a new membership program. All of the videos which we normally do, plus extra content. There's 10 of it. Associated with Gallagher Shots. And we are absolutely grafting our arses off to make this the go-to. I want to say the go-to channel, but it's not. It's not the go-to channel because there's so many other channels that offer so many different things. I don't want to be that person to say we offer the best. I don't, because I think every single, I've said this years over the past with podcasts, when we are predominantly podcasts, that Newcastle United fan base as media-wise, if you look at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anything, podcasts, we have a lot of variation, and there's a hell of a lot out there. There's a ridiculous amount, and of course, bias-wise, I'm turning around and saying we're the best. Oh my God, I'm turning around and saying we are the best, but other people turn around and say exactly the same. But as a fan base for a team that is in the Premier League, struggling to stay in the Premier League, no cup games, no European games, no Champions League games. There's not of us do what we do as a fan base. Yeah. The channels on YouTube that make money off this for a full-time job. There's channels out there that do this, what we're doing right now, as a living. As a living. They do this as their full income for the year because they've got those Champions League games, they've got the European games. Us right now, we do this because we fucking love this football club. That's it. Yeah. We love this club. We love those black and white stripes, and that's it. That's the only reason why we do this.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, mate, and hopefully get you on again.
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Good night.
Ta-ra. You done?
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Thanks for watching tonight. I just want to put this video at the end of my show, and please give it a watch. It'd be much appreciated if you
think before you tweet.
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 Please just think before you tweet.
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 Think before you tweet.